Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Built for Mars, the Perseverance Rover. This is a National Geographic documentary. It is from 2021, and it is an hour and 28 minutes long. It is definitely one of the longer ones. Yesterday we had Expedition Everest, and that was like 45 minutes. But this is definitely meant to be a documentary film because it can't necessarily be covered in just 45 minutes. This is the birthing process of a machine that will go to another planet and perform important work to seek out life. And well, no civilizations. That would be impressive if it did. If suddenly it rolled up in a city and on Mars, and you're like, well, the world has changed now. The galaxy has changed at that point. If a rover found any of that, but to find new life, that's what it's all about. And this is not so much about the exploration on the planet. It's a matter of getting it there, and the people that make it happen. The engineers, the designers, the technicians, some of these people who had not even, they didn't necessarily go to college to be a spaceship builder, a rover builder. There are certain people with certain skills that lent themselves to being part of this team. And it's a pretty massive team. And everybody has a fine-tooth thing. They're fine-tooth purpose in what they do. It's exasperating to realize that some of these people have to drill a hole or put a part together in exactly the right way at the right time, while 4 other people are looking over their shoulders, and they have to put it together. And it's like $1 million thing. And if it screws up, that's $1 million gone. And it's also a huge delay in the process and everything else. There's a lot on the line when you start building something like this that's this complex. And these rovers, it's not just like, hey, let's put a machine on the planet and then just have it roll around with a camera. It's got to be able to pick up things. It's got to be able to drill into the Earth, the Mars, the soil, and pull out and take samples. And hopefully they're wet. No, they're not. But the idea is that there's evidence of water. And when there's water, there was or is life. Where everything is contaminated by microscopic, tiny little creatures and just elements and things like that. That's why it was so important in their building of these machines, is that we don't accidentally send our microscopic elements to that other planet to disrupt it. And then the rover goes around and starts checking out things and like, oh, we found something. And it really is actually from Earth. You don't want that. So they work in clean rooms that have so few particles per volume or whatever the measurement is. It's the air is so clean that you and I have never experienced it. Even they have never technically experienced it because they're all within sealed suits to keep themselves from contaminating the spaces in which they're working. Why is that important? Well, again, the pieces that draw the samples from the Earth through the rover, again, they cannot have our sweat. Even if you smell funky, they're like, you go home, you're not working today. Like, they have to keep everything so perfectly clean. It's the cleanest anything has ever been on Earth. That's what these people are making. And that's what they're sending into space. So that when it comes time to grab those samples, there is nothing that is conflicting with the data they get from it. If it smells or feels like Carl in engineering, then, well, Carl's not been to Mars. Why do we have Carl particles? It just doesn't work. So you get a lot of people in this who definitely clearly state that this is clean, over and over again, and everything's very precise. Everything's kind of nerve-wracking. Everything's just intense at times. And there's a great risk of disappointment and great risk of failing with just on a microscopic little drop the tiniest screw you've ever seen into the wrong spot. That could cause a problem when it is millions of miles away, and it grinds everything they did, everything that went up to the point of putting Perseverance on Mars is out the window because somebody dropped a tiny screw. And if they didn't tell anybody, hey, I dropped a tiny screw, guess what? It's their fault, but they only find out later that it was a really tiny screw. Or sometimes they never find out. So there's a lot of accountability, there's a lot of there's a work ethic in this. And at the same time, these people are kind of in awe of what they are doing, what they have to do, and what they get to do. And how many times have we had a job where we're just like, I can't believe I'm making cheeseburgers. Oh, I can't believe I'm making videos about Disney Plus stuff. This is not my job, by the way. I don't make any money off this yet. It's where do you understand? We're doing things that people only dreamed of not even a century ago. I mean, sure, yeah, Jules Verne probably had a few ideas, but the idea is that it was science fiction. That we could, one, put something from our planet onto another planet, much less the moon. And that data, that information that we get by putting that machine, that work of art, that machine on another planet, can give us information about our galaxy, about our existence, and even our own planet, even though Mars is often seen as a dead planet. It's a mostly carbon dioxide atmosphere and very little gravity, comparatively to ours. Life can't exist there, but has it? Has life existed there? And that's the whole purpose of the mission. But again, that doesn't even focus on what happens on Mars, or what has happened on Mars once Perseverance reached there. This is all about the people and the machinery and the complexity of putting it all together, every single step. Even the fact that it's over the course of many years that this documentary was made, leading all the way up to the point where they ship it off to ship the multi-billion-dollar pieces, which there's many, many pieces. It's not just the rover. The rover has to get there. But they start shipping everything else out to Florida, where it'll be put on a rocket to be launched into space. That's $5 billion? I don't know. It's a lot of money. And everything that went into that box that got shipped off to Florida from Pasadena is... It's got to be great. It's got to be right before it ever leaves Pasadena, because a whole new crew comes in, takes it over, and then they're responsible for getting it off the ground. It is kind of mind blowing, the amount of work that goes into something like this, and the amount of just how it can affect our world, how it can affect our understanding through sciences, and just getting soil samples. The thing that I didn't really realize about this is that it's a 3-stage process. It's not just the rover going around digging holes and taking the samples. It's also, it has to put it into another, once it even gets to the planet, which is a whole complex thing on its own that they have no control over at some point. When it starts entering the atmosphere. Once it gets all the samples, it has to put it into another machine, put those 43 possible maximum samples, put it into a rocket that then gets launched into Mars's orbit, and then waits for another spaceship to come along and collect it, and then take it back to Earth. The idea that we could send something all the way to a planet millions of miles away and have it come back is astounding. We send out things like, Beeger and the Rovers. They don't come back. It's because yeah. And the only reason these things get there, that's the reason why we're not there. The reason why we're probably not going to get to Mars unless science changes things drastically. And these are the baby steps we take along the way. We're like, well, why are we bothering to put spaceships onto another planet? What is that going to help us? The science. Not just the science of understanding the planets and the atmosphere and the possibility of life. We get to learn more as they innovate the the engineering to make these machines, that when it comes to understanding the weight, the energy, the just everything about it to make it possible to get to another place, new discoveries are made. That's the greatness of science and exploration and understanding all this. Sometimes it's like, you know what, we need to feed people. Why are we making spaceships going to Mars? Why are we putting rovers on another planet? It's not always about the end product, even though it is very important. It is also about discovering new things to make that next trip easier. And that's so much of what we've got from space exploration, from NASA, from JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratories in Pasadena. The stuff we get from that helps improve the things that we do in our cars, in our homes, and how we heat and cool our homes, how we just things that we take for granted, our communications, our devices. Some of this stuff would not have existed without space exploration. So that's just scratching the surface. One of the great things about this is the people who do it are in kind of in awe that they have the opportunity to do something that people in history had never done before. And they're just doing their own little part, and there's a lot of them. So hats off to them. It would be exciting to see how I'm not smart enough to be doing any of that stuff, but man, just to see how it all comes together. And there hopefully will be more to come, as long as things aren't ruined by certain people. So we have one more for this month, and this quarter. This is the last one that we're going to pick before this whole list is reset, and we have a whole brand new batch of stuff to add to possibly watch on Disney Plus. Here we go. Final number of the month and the quarter, 181. What is that going to be? It's towards the bottom of the list. 181. Finally. Oh. All right. I know this is going to be a sin, but I have not seen this movie. It's for a Disney fan and a superhero sci-fi kind of geek. I haven't watched this movie. When it was out, it was just not the thing for me, I guess. I don't know why. But despite the great cast and the concept, I haven't watched it. But I'm going to change that tomorrow. And I finally watch Sky High. Yeah. Kurt Russell? Yeah, pretty sure. I think that's it. I almost wanted to cheat the list and at one point just pick it, because I couldn't believe that I kept not getting it over this last 6 years or so. Because I was like, oh, it's there. I don't have to get the VHS out or anything. I could just watch it on Disney Plus, because it's part of my thing. But now it's finally happened, and it's finally on my list to finish out the quarter And after that, we'll reset the list. And it'll no longer be on the list. And I'm just talking too much now. Sky High is what we're watching next in the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.